Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Money Myths. It's Jadu and Jonah of the Cash Compound, where we help you crack the code to cash flow. And this time, the myth we're going to try to unlock and discover that's probably already in your mind is about rate of return. Because here's the question we hear from folks. Wait, I can get a higher rate of return than this. So Jonah, first off, give us the definition. Help us understand what that means. When someone says something about a rate of return to you, what are they trying to qualify?
Yeah, so absolutely. So again, we hear this pretty often. And normally it's when folks are just learning about us, maybe have watched one or two of our other money myths, maybe have seen us live or on the computer, something like that. And they think to themselves, okay, there's some guaranteed growth and guaranteed interest in the policy, around 4%. You've probably seen us say that. And then they go, but my investment, my plan, my deal I've got going on the side is a higher rate of return than that. And they say it just like this, 4%, but I can get a higher rate of return. And so what we're talking about, of course, just in case you're unaware, is the yield that you would have, the earning of income of money that's given back to you from somewhere where you've let your money sit to be earned, of course, while someone else is using it, but you've let it sit, and this is the return that you're having on that money. So, yeah, we hear this pretty often, and I would say to them, that person, that you're not fully understanding your banking system, the system that we can set up for you if you don't have one, and the system that you have currently. You're not fully understanding the financing aspect.
Now, one reason to say that you don't even understand what you're talking about first, and it's not to be condescending to people at all. It's first off to help them understand that they've used the word, in most cases, they've used the word investment,
Sure.
and we have not used the word investment.
Yep.
That is huge. So investment implies a couple of things. It implies waiting period. It implies holding of your money, leaving it somewhere for someone else to use, like you mentioned.
Yep.
It also implies risk.
Absolutely.
That it could actually go down. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be held. It doesn't mean it has to go down. It just implies those things, neither of which are in our three kind of key mantras that we're always talking about. We're talking about never taking risk, never giving up control, and never locking up your money long term.
Right.
Those are our three. So I would say that first off, before we even get into the numbers, because we are going to surprise you right now, because we can prove to you that you cannot get a better yield. Even with this 4% we're talking about, you can't actually get a better yield. And first off, let's talk about some of those things, though, that people have to deal with in their other financial vehicles when they're talking about that. So there are taxes in a lot of the things that you're going to do, right?
Yep.
Lots of different taxes. And there's also, this one is a really big one, is the use of your dollars. When you've put your dollars in places where other folks have access to it or locked it up or invested, you don't have your dollars. Right. So rate is important, or isn't it? We have even another money myth where we talk about rate, but it's also control. Who has control of the money? And what's great about what Jonah is about to decipher for you is, in our system, you have the control.
Right.
You've got it. So that means something, and it's very powerful. And it means you're going to yield a lot more money. So, Jonah, why don't you jump into the example that we've curated today? Tell us where you got it, because we tell people all the time, look, we did not invent what we're here to teach you. We did not make it up. Everything that we've gotten, we've actually begged, borrowed, and stole from other folks. And the system we use with the product is 200 years old, way older than us.
Right, absolutely. So today in our example, we're going to make it really down to earth. I'm going to give you some values, some numbers, talk about taxes, things like that you're actually dealing with, so that way you understand that we're taking the full picture into consideration when we're telling you you cannot get a higher rate of return outside of your banking system. Okay, so again, we're not talking about yield. We're talking about the opportunity to finance your own expenses or purchases. So here's the example. The example is kind of on a broad stroke. A person wants to invest $100,000 into an investment somewhere, wherever you've got the investment, and they're going to earn 20% yield after a year. So we're going to use person A and person B. Person A is going to do that with their own savings or income or wherever they're getting money from, and person B is going to finance that through their policy. So let's start with person A. You guys are going to follow this relatively easily. Okay, so person A is going to invest $100,000 for a 20% yield for 1 year. That means their gross yield is $20,000, less taxes at 30%, which is $6,000. So their net yield is $14,000.
Okay, we got a net yield this point. We got a gross. We've got a tax at 30%, something that is relatively high, but very much standard for a lot of people. And our net yield. I love it.
Yep. Okay, now we're going to use person B, who's going to use their banking system to do the exact same investment. And we're going to see who's going to have the higher net yield.
Right. Okay. Not about the rate of return, about the higher net yield, money that you have to be able to use.
Exactly. So this person has a banking policy, a banking system set up where they have $100,000 of cash value. They're going to take the $100,000 out of that banking system, and they're going to invest it in the same investment that the person A used.
Exact same thing, people.
Exact same.
Okay,
Now,
so it's not about what the investment was. We're just helping you with the numbers.
Exactly. Person B takes $100,000 out of that policy, and they're going to borrow that at 8% interest back to the policy.
Now, where did you get that? 8%.
We just made up the number. Because
Okay.
remember, you can do any amount of payback
Got it.
to your policy that you want. I'm just going to use 8% because it's relatively low. Most people understand that. If you're going to use $100,000 kind of outside or from a third party, you're probably going to see something 10% or under. So I'm going to use 8% just to make it easy.
Cool.
Because I like those easy numbers.
I love it.
I'm an easy math guy. All right, $100,000 out of that infinite banking system, your banking system you've set up, you're going to borrow that at 8%. Your gross yield on the exact same investment for 1 year, 20%. So that's $20,000.
It'd be the same.
Okay.
Yep.
Less interest paid to your policy at 8%, $8,000. What that means is your taxable gain now is $12,000. So less taxes at 30% is $3,600, meaning your net yield is $8,400. Okay? Net yield on the first one
Net
is
yield.
14,000, person A. Net yield on the second is 8,400.
So the net yield is lower currently. Looks a little fishy.
Okay, but here's the key. Person B owns the banking system that the $100,000 came from. Person B owns it. What that means is the $8,000 that was interest paid to that banking system also goes back to person B. So not only is it $8,400 net yield from that investment, it's an $8,000 net yield from the banking system that they control, and there's no taxes there, meaning their total net yield is $16,400. Meaning just by financing the same investment using their banking system to do it, they made an additional $2,400.
So they made more money that they have to be able to use.
That's right.
By financing from their own system.
That's exactly correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just got to remember that when we're talking about a banking system and building your own cash compound, that you control the system. So it's always better to finance something, because financing is how you have to purchase anything. You've got to get a pile of money together. And that pile of money inside a banking system built for cash is better than a pile of money sitting in your wallet, because you're not going to have the extra gain.
Exactly.
You're, of course, not going to have it if you finance from a third party, so get that out of your head. You're never going to get it if you borrow from other people, because you'll have to pay them, and they'll make that gain. But you can keep control without ever locking your money up, taking risk, or giving up the control to other folks by financing within your own system. Because like Jonah said, the guarantees are automatically there. If you've still got questions about where those guarantees are and how this whole system works, once again, we invite you to jump into one of our courses. The Crash Course is an excellent place for you to start, and get on our calendars. We'll walk you through to make sure you are not harboring any of those hurtful money myths for a long period in your own life. We'll see you guys next time.